This is Sheoldred, the Whispering One, and the black aligned Praetor of New Phyrexia. This leader seems to lure you in with her top half, while scaring you with her bottom half. That sounded wrong. She is most like old Phyrexia, so she has the power to conquer worlds. Let's look at her powers. All new Phyrexian Praetors got their unique powers from Mirrodin and its sons. This turned them from a mono-black faction, about one deity's power, to a 5-faceted hive with 5 different colored Praetors. The black color on Mirrodin seeks your weakness, exploits it, and infects others with your torment. This influences the same colored conquerors too. Sheoldred uses torture, extortion and domineering power to keep control over her minions, but she does so with the end goal of making you a sleeper agent that spreads her glorious pain. Sheoldred is the Whispering One, which means that you won't sense her presence, but she's there. Or her sleeper agents are. These are Phyrexians disguised as humans. They don't even know they're Phyrexian, so they're able to live on other worlds for ages, until they're activated when it's time to conquer their world. Sheoldred, the spider-like, weaves information like threads to hang her enemies with. She likes to inflict pain in order to overtake, but before that pain, you'll feel a silky smooth caress, until it's too late. Until that time, you're in her grasp. You'll work for her, until you're completely under her claws. Sheoldred's silky smooth touch comes in handy when she tries to conquer a new world. That is why she is first to attach to new worlds like Dominaria, because she knows how to seek the monsters that are most like the Phyrexians, so that she doesn't stand out too much. The humans of Sheoldred's home are called Moriok. While fighting the Phyrexians, they shaped metal into strong forms. They value strength. Yet, they're weak in the eyes of Phyrexia, because they can't be used very well. They're too quick to anger under the swamps of their homelands and decay too soon. And this shows us why Sheoldred is so Phyrexian. She sees human decay not as something painful, but rather something annoying that weakens her puppets. This art shows us Sheoldred's powers well. She uses strings to squeeze all the power from her subordinates, so that she and Phyrexia stand tallest and strongest. She also seems to revel in others' decay, because it turns them into more fuel. Sheoldred's altars are built in her spider-like forms, pointy and an estimate of her never-ending reach. Her swamps pour with this green ooze, which I will tell you about in a bit. All 5 sons of Phyrexia influence the Praetors. The black one makes the weak new. It decays, making the weak weaker and easy to control. This ease to control makes the strong stronger. You can see why Mirrodin's swamps are a home to strife. The black-aligned humans call their son the Whisperer, which seems like a familiar name. When she, the sun, is at her highest, the Moriok hear her speak of power. This promise is only divided among the few. Another influence she has is that she blinds those that listen to her whispers. She blinds them by putting a sheet of metal in front of their eyes. Something useful to Sheoldred, as she likes blind subordinates. The high towers of the Dross swamps call anyone with those promises. Its influence was evil and brought about tyrants and torturers. We can see how Sheoldred is influenced. The swamps call for a lust for death, because only by killing can you find sustenance, and only the threat of death will give you power. This is why Sheoldred's advisors and workers deal in death. They gather their resources and scraps or turn them into new minions. We get the most information from the Praetors, from their own cards, everyone is layered the same way. They are a chunky creature with 2 equal effects. The only thing is that one progresses Phyrexia and one slows your enemies down. I see these effects as influences from the Praetors onto the Phyrexians. Sheoldred, Whispering One's influence is that she resurrects minions and wears opponents down, as we've seen from the son, named Ingle by the way, just before. Sheoldred champions the effect of Phyresis, which is someone turning complete. Sheoldred sees this as freeing them from weakness, because anyone that's not under her appendages must be weak. They now belong to the strong, to Sheoldred. The zombie-like creatures of the Mephidros are easiest to control. So, for Sheoldred, that makes them the strongest creatures. The green ooze we saw before is called Necrogen. It has many reactions. For one, it breaks down flesh and resurrects the dead. It also speaks of hateful feelings. Sheoldred embraces that side of emotion because it makes her subjects predictable and useful. While the Dross spreads Necrogen on its own, the Nim are a great way to spread the Necrogen. These zombies exhale the gases before and do the same to the completed version of the gas. Sheoldred sees pain and anguish as bringers of her message, because the pain is what breaks the will. Pain opens the flesh to her degree of rebirth. To the Moriok, the Necrogen might not turn them into Nim right away. This is why Sheoldred starts to despise the Moriok once she is strong enough not to need them. Before that moment, she used their weak minds, hate and aggression as the first breakthrough through the bones of her enemies. Her Exarch deals in death too, returning creatures or killing those from your opponents, before they get a chance to be played. Sheoldred intends to strike before you know you're dead. And then her goal, which is to give life its finale. She doesn't need our concept of life and will recreate it in her own vision. This disregard to life is Sheoldred's strength because she does not need to care about rot. It just brings her closer to her destiny. A very useful ability for Sheoldred is that she can attach her upper body to any lower body. She can even control a dragon engine. This also means that she's easy to rebuild with just the sacrifice of a few lives. She and her followers also have the ability of perseverance. Even as her spiderlings get torn apart, they still continue to spurt oil and scrape away at the altar. Also look how cute this one is. It's a baby Sheoldred with its own little belly mouth. Sheoldred has the power of authority. As her minions fight it out in the arena in order to become completed, she commands them. Sheoldred likes it when people fight for her. In this, there's power too. Sheoldred can command all of her minions to self-destruct for her cause, because after her calling, Sheoldred comes out as the strongest. She doesn't mind it when skulls are the only thing that's left. She'll turn them into new minions. In this sense, she loves pain and inflicting pain. It gives her authority over the false because it weakens them. I believe the completed still feel pain too, but Sheoldred just needs to torture them less. So to get rid of the pain, you'll become completed under Sheoldred and you'll wish for the pain anyways. Here we see an advantage against Elishnorn especially, because the white aligned Praetor has the sub-goal of stitching everybody together in an effort to unify the world. Sheoldred does not have to be so precise with her rending of the skin and can give her minions sharper claws. A weakness from the Dross leader is that her faction is divided. Geth, for example, is one of the Thanes that leads over the Moriok. He wants stronger minions but keeps getting the defeated. So Sheoldred lets him be the leader over the weakest misfits. Geth is not powerless and can use mind torture and nightmares to control the weak. In a swamp that's as dangerous as the Dross, the weakest aren't very useful though. But it does keep Sheoldred down. For the contracts you make with Geth are forever. When you go back on your word with Geth, you're enslaved to him for eternity. Better to keep your word. Here we see Azax, who lords over a piece of dross, but also over some of the red-aligned mountains. He thinks his strength is what should inspire fear in his enemies' hearts. Wherever he conquers, he builds towers of skulls that keep laughing and screeching for eternity. So, there is a reason to be afraid. Such a tower would ruin my mornings. Then we have Greynox. He hates flesh and rules over all kinds of rot so that flesh can melt away. This makes imps follow him because they like to eat flesh in whatever form. They're best friends. He allied with another Thane leader, Roxith, because he wanted to make the walls of one of the 9 layers into a wall of flesh, and Greynox could help him very well, and Greynox needed the allies because he's so weak. So they chose to work together for a bit. Then we have Fran, who doesn't have art. He's just a vampire guy who rules an underground order of bloodsuckers that can be hired to attack other Thanes. And Thresik, the snake guy who rules over horrors and supposedly over other snakes. He believes that the world should be completely destroyed, so that it can rise again as if it's a snake that sheds its skin. Don't let Thresik win, that would be boring. And then, of course, Sheoldred herself, who's actually just one of the Thanes. The thing is that her spy network is so vast that she knows everything about her opponents, while no one knows anything with certainty about her. So she wins with her knowledge by exploiting her enemies and making them work for her. She's not the clear ruler though, everyone has their piece of the pie. Sheoldred seems like a spider and she has many minions that are spider-like too. But she has a new power, which is to turn into a bunch of spiders in order to escape an enemy. That's really useful when everything wants to kill you. Her newest card shows us her true power of influence. She becomes stronger whenever her plans move forward and you draw a card. She also hurts you when you become stronger or further your own plans, because she'll know about you, your wishes, and your weaknesses, and she'll exploit them. Plus, every strong being is a target for Sheoldred, because you should be a part of her strong faction. Thus, you lose 2 life. There is a cool tidbit on the guide to New Phyrexia, which is that Sheoldred can make small cubes with secrets about her and her plans. You open these by whispering 2 words, one for either side of the cube. When you're right, you get to know her secret. When you're wrong, you'll be eaten by a primordial monster. Probably Sheoldred herself. Or you get to hear a lie. This is probably why no one knows anything for certain about Sheoldred. Because many people have been lied to and think that they were told a true secret because they weren't eaten by a space monster. There are 3 allies of Sheoldred that we're certain about at this point. The first is Rona. She helped rebuild Sheoldred when she came to Dominaria. She used to be apprenticed to Gix, so this shows the traitor nature of the Black Aligned Phyrexians. They will switch sides whenever there's a stronger leader to follow. Then there is Elas Ilkor. We saw her fighting Liliana, so Elas is very strong, even though she lost in the end. We can see that she belongs to Sheoldred, because her flavor says that all will bow to the Whispering One. Plus, she's a Phyrexian with the oil running down her eyes and all. And then we have the Obliterators and Negator Horrors, who can rip through metal as strong as Alice Norn's porcelain. They live to destroy and stop anything, so that Sheoldred can rise again from the remains. And that is Sheoldred's power. She makes everyone bow under her rotting gaze, after she's lured them in with promises of power, and all the weak beings under her eventually succumb to that promise. The only answer to her is more strength, or so it seems. I will look at the other Praetors as well and look at their powers, so wait for that, and I want to thank you for watching.